At Collaborate PASadena, we believe in the power of community to drive change. Our community-driven initiatives tackle structural inequities by amplifying local voices and expertise. We're mapping resources, supporting caregivers, and strengthening our school district to ensure all children receive an equitable education in a safe learning environment. As a backbone organization, we work with community partners to address inequities embedded in our institutions. Currently, we are conducting an assessment of Northwest Pasadena to identify and elevate both the needs of and strengths within the community. Your support is crucial. Help us continue fostering positive change by visiting our website. Collaborate PASadena grew out of a 2013 school, community, city work plan that was adopted by the school district in the city of Pasadena. It has changed a bit in structure over the last few years and in organization, but the vision has always remained the same, which is to ensure that every student in our community grows up in a safe, stable, and secure environment to prepare them for success in school and life. Currently, we're focusing on some fairly large initiatives. We're working with the school district to help them develop and grow a community schools model for some of their community schools. It started several years ago with 4 schools and now is expanded to 10 schools. We're helping foster sustainable community partnerships and help with collaborative leadership and developing practices that will go beyond the existing funding streams. We're also working with another organization to identify needs of caregivers for transgender children with the goal of eliminating or reducing the amount of children that are going to the foster care system. So we're doing a community-wide needs assessment for that. One more initiative that we're working on is we're developing a survey of Northwest Pasadena. We're looking at strengths, capacities, assets, and needs of the community to develop community priorities that we can roll out to other partner organizations to help them develop the work they do. So the program we're doing focusing on caregivers of trans kids is a relatively new program. We're in the initial stages of developing a needs assessment. And so what we're looking at is what are the supports that caregivers, parents, family members need in order to create a safe and stable home environment for kids that are trans and non-binary, with the goal of reducing conflict within the house, which can lead to kids entering in the foster system. We know that trans kids are disproportionately represented in foster care, and so the goal of this is to identify what kind of supports and information parents need in order to be able to support their kids as they're going through transition. One initiative that we were involved with that really stands out was during the COVID pandemic. We partnered very early on with a couple other organizations, STARS and Pactal, who had realized that there were families that were not able to get to any of the school district food distribution centers, either from transportation or other family challenges, and they started delivering food to the families who needed them. It quickly became apparent that we needed to scale up operations, that there were many more families that were not able to access this free resource. And so we partnered with them, we partnered with the school district, we partnered with Tournament of Roses and some other churches, and made sure that during the entire time that schools were closed for in-person learning, families were receiving food. In all, between spring of 2020 to the summer of 2021, we delivered over 87,000 meals to families in the community and utilized about 2,500 volunteer work hours. One of the biggest challenges we face, and it's a challenge for many organizations that are backbones or community support organizations, that we don't have programs specifically ourselves. We help other organizations better their programs. We help other organizations collaborate together. So since we don't have specific programs with specific outcomes, it's hard to find funding for that. Funders like giving money to a very specific program so they can see direct outcomes. Our outcomes are community-wide outcomes, and it takes a much longer time for us to show that it's working. And often our success is shown in the success of our partner organizations. So it's a challenge for us to obtain grants and additional funding when what our goal is to make other organizations, including the school district, including the city, much more effective in the work they do, rather than producing work ourselves. We are fortunate in that we do receive funding through both the city and the school district to help us with our work. And we do get additional funds as subgrantees of our partner organizations who may have larger grants, including the work that we're doing with a needs assessment of transgender caregivers. What we haven't done in the past and what we're starting to focus on really now is reaching out to our community to find individual supporters that can help us do our work. Since our work is community-driven and community-based, it really makes sense for us to ask the community to help us partner with us in financial and volunteering resources. We're really excited about this new project that we have going on in Northwest Pasadena, which is looking at the priorities of the communities that are living in Northwest Pasadena, identifying not just the needs, but also really focusing on the strengths and the capacities of what is going on in the city and how we can elevate the assets that are already embedded within the community and identify how we can help support those. So this will be a community-wide research project. We'll be hiring members of the community to help us determine the instruments, which are the questions that need to be asked, the method in which we should ask them, who we should talk to. It'll be at least a year-long project, and what we hope to gain from this is a deeper knowledge of the various communities within Northwest Pasadena and how we as community and our community partners can support the work that's already going on there and really focus on meeting the priorities and the needs of those that live in that neighborhood. The reason we're focusing on Northwest Pasadena is an area that already has a lot of focus and resources, and so part of what we want to do is gather information that other organizations, including some city departments and nonprofits that are working in that area, are collecting information and making sure that we are all working together. So ultimately, we would love to do one for the whole greater Pasadena area, but as a start, we figured Northwest Pasadena would be an ideal venue to start this initiative, to gather community support and community partnership, because we already have so many organizations working in the area. And from that, we can learn and then expand out into the rest of Pasadena. One area that people don't understand about Collaborate Pasadena, and partly because it has changed in structure several times over the years, is its relationship to the school district. When it originally started, it was very closely tied with the school district, and we still view the school district as one of our largest partners. But rather than focusing on providing direct resources to the schools, we're really looking at impacting the lives of the students that go to the school by working within the community. The families that live in the community, the parents of the children, really focusing on how we can have an impact on their life rather than reaching directly into the school. We do partner with many organizations, most of them locally. We are trying to expand into much more regional partnerships as well. We will partner with any organization with the goal of improving outcomes for children. And so we have a list of at least 20 organizations, including city departments, and including schools and the school district, and some charter schools that we work with to identify what their priorities are and help establish partnerships between organizations and to really foster a sense of a common understanding, a common way of looking at data, a common way of focusing on collectively meeting our goals and working with the children and the families. We're really focusing on expanding our partnerships. So not just in expanding partnerships within the city of Pasadena and growing out and reaching out to organizations that may not specifically be addressing the needs of children, but as we know, many societal and community challenges impact families, which also impact children. So we're reaching out to organizations that may have focuses beyond the traditional organizational goal of meeting the needs of children. And we're also looking at expanding our partnerships outside of the area into a larger region, because families don't live by strict geographical borders, and so there's a lot of crossover between surrounding communities. And so establishing partnerships with surrounding communities. One of the goals we want to have in the next year or so is have a regional conference, and so we can bring organizations and community organizers from around the region together so we can share what we're learning here and learn what other regions are doing and see what we can bring into our community. We have, depending on the initiatives we're working at the time, we have quite a few different opportunities. We post those on our website. We post if we're hiring. We believe in paying people for the work that they do. And we also have opportunities for people to help volunteer. And additionally, we are looking for community supporters to help us with funding, since we do pay community members for doing the work. That is a large part of our expenses, is paying community members to do the research in their own neighborhoods. We really would like to engage more deeply with our individual community members and community organizations and encourage everyone to check out our website, find out what we're working on, subscribe to our newsletter, and become involved, either directly with Collaborate PASadena or just get a deeper sense of involvement with your community.
Located in the heart of Northwest Pasadena, Flintridge Center prevents youth from entering the criminal justice system and supports community members returning home from incarceration. Our Youth of Promise program provides comprehensive support to Pasadena's incredible young people. For adults, Reintegration services provide individualized care, while our apprenticeship preparation program trains people for transformative union construction careers. Through all of these programs, we are building a community where families thrive and youth reach their full potential. We would love to have you join us.
My name is Josh McCurry, and I'm the Executive Director of the Flintridge Center. What that role looks like is representing the center out in the community, being a support system to our staff, and also uplifting the many leaders that we have on our team. Flintridge Center has been in the Pasadena community for over 30 years. It actually started as a family foundation that made grants, and it planned to sunset, but it became more and more involved in trying to address local disparities in the Pasadena area. It became involved in soliciting feedback about community services and where gaps were. And from those conversations, the community identified that nobody was providing support for community members returning home from incarceration. Specifically, community members were returning home, they were being shut out of job opportunities and ending up back in the system. So the foundation used the last of its assets to transition to try to fill that gap. So Flintridge Center services as they exist now were born out of a community identified gap. Today, we support community members returning home from incarceration with an emphasis on economic and workforce development. We also provide youth programs that prevent or divert youth from entering the criminal justice system, which we know from our work with adults can trap individuals in these cycles. Flintridge Center has 3 primary program areas. Our Youth of Promise program is a program that prevents or diverts youth from the criminal justice system. Youth are referred into the program in 2 primary ways. One is that youth are referred by school counselors. These might be youth who are chronically truant, might be experiencing behavioral challenges in the classroom, or on the verge of dropping out of school, or might be experiencing challenges in their home environment or community environment. The second way that youth are referred to the program is directly from law enforcement agencies. Flintridge Center works closely with the Pasadena Police Department. These are youth who've been arrested or cited or had an interaction with law enforcement, but get a chance to be diverted to our services, which are much more holistic and strength-based. Once a youth is enrolled in the program, they engage in after-school and summer activities designed to build social-emotional skills, provide academic support, and pair individuals with caring adults and mentor relationships. For adults, the Reintegration services is an umbrella term we use to support individuals on a one-on-one basis, connecting formerly incarcerated individuals with any number of resources that they might be interested in, helping overcome barriers. So those services look like job development and job training. They might look like legal support, helping with record expungement if somebody qualifies for that, getting somebody connected to court-ordered classes like domestic violence or anger management, life skills classes as well. And then one of our emphasis programs and most intensive programs is the Apprenticeship Preparation Program. That's a 10-week, 240-hour program that prepares formerly incarcerated individuals for union construction careers. We work really closely with the Los Angeles Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council to provide that program. Graduates get a union-developed certificate, as well as access to a host of our supportive services. We focus on union careers because they pay living wages, provide benefits for the individual and their families, have a pension and retirement, and have built-in advancement opportunities. A success story that I think about frequently is one of the participants in our apprenticeship preparation program. He came to us in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic after spending 41 years incarcerated. He graduated the apprenticeship preparation program again in 2020 during the pandemic, which was a difficult landscape to navigate, and ultimately ended up entering a union electrician job. He came back to the program 3 years after graduating to speak to a current class, to share about his journey, to share about what was helpful and his success, and also while sharing that, he shared that he had just put a down payment on a home. And so I think about this story because it illustrates the economic impact that our programs can have, not just on an individual, but on an individual's ability to create generational wealth, to build a home. And I also think about that economic impact juxtaposed with the cost we spend on incarcerating individuals each year, and how much better these resources could be used on the supportive services and job training programs like those that Flintridge Center provides. Flintridge Center realizes that it's very important to stay involved in our community, to learn from our community, to hear our community voices, particularly to uplift the voices of those directly impacted by our criminal justice system. One of the ways in which we ensure this happens throughout the organization is ensuring that our staff, our leadership, our on-the-ground staff is reflective of that community. So over 40% of Flintridge's team members are themselves previously incarcerated. Several of them have actually come through our programs in the past, whether that's being a graduate of the apprenticeship program and now instructing that program, or simply coming through our reintegration services and now doing that one-on-one to provide that support. So we use that kind of peer mentorship, peer learning model. We also reach out to partners in the field frequently. We're lucky that we don't do this work in isolation, and so we reach out to partners to hear about challenges that they're experiencing. We reach out to our local electeds to hear kind of what the environment looks like and what challenges they experience or are hearing. So we take our program development from both internal and external sources, but we really value and center voices with lived experience of the issues that we're trying to address. One of the biggest challenges that Flintridge Center faces, I think, is a misunderstanding of the type of work and services that we provide, particularly being located in Pasadena. When we say that we support community members returning home from incarceration, many people's reaction to that is, well, that doesn't exist in Pasadena. And even if they are aware, they feel like, well, that's somebody who made a mistake and maybe doesn't deserve the type of love and care that we provide at Flintridge Center. And so those levels of misunderstanding prevent barriers in terms of expanding our reach, expanding community buy-in to the work that Flintridge Center does. We understand that incarceration is part of a criminal justice system, which in many ways targets vulnerable individuals, is also a reaction to community and environmental issues, things like poverty, being exposed to community violence, that kind of stuff. And we also recognize that it does exist in Pasadena. Pasadena is a community of significant disparities, and while there is tremendous affluence here, the notion that issues such as incarceration or poverty don't exist in Pasadena just further marginalizes a community that is often overlooked by funds, by public voices. So Flintridge Center exists to try to fill that gap. We approach how to address that challenge from an education lens. We recognize that, some folks maybe just simply don't have the same experiences that we have getting to work at Flintridge, aren't aware of the history of the criminal justice system, the history of mass incarceration, what that's looked like. So we work to create opportunities for folks to engage and become educated and hopefully become champions of our work rather than being either unaware or just having kind of stigmas around the type of work that is. Flintridge Center is excited about a few new upcoming kind of projects and expansion efforts. We have had a long history of training individuals for union construction careers. We've had tremendous success doing that, but we also recognize that it's not the only career pathway that might be out there for individuals returning home from incarceration. So we are looking to expand those opportunities. What we've done and are continuing to expand on is we now have a partnership with a group called the Hospitality Training Academy, which creates pathways to union hospitality careers. We are building a deeper partnership with Pasadena City College and their Community Overcoming Recidivism Through Education program, which connects previously incarcerated and system-impacted folks with higher education opportunities. We're also excited about exploring the possibility of Flintridge Center stepping into a space of policy and advocacy work. So in addition to the direct services and direct support that we provide young people and adults, looking at how can we affect systems change that will support individuals impacted by the justice system, thus expanding our reach. Flintridge Center partners with several organizations, both public agencies as well as other nonprofits. In terms of public agencies, we partner with Pasadena Police Department on our youth diversion program. We also partner with the Pasadena City Prosecutor's Office on an adult diversion program. What that looks like is that adults with a prior violent felony offense conviction who are facing a new misdemeanor charge have the opportunity to be diverted to Flintridge Center, complete a sort of supportive asset-based plan, and if they do that, ultimately their new misdemeanor charge is dropped. For the youth who are referred by law enforcement, if they similarly complete a care plan with us, their record ultimately becomes sealed and prevents them from either going through court proceedings or ending up in a juvenile facility. Flintridge Center's ultimate long-term goal would be effectively for our youth programs to put our adult programs out of business, meaning we would love for Flintridge Center to help create a community where we invest in our young people, where we provide care, support, and opportunity for our young people so that they ultimately don't end up in the justice system and ultimately don't end up needing to access the services that we support for folks who have been impacted by that system. We would love to see that sort of vision fully realized by the Pasadena community. Everybody bought into that. And we would love to see a community that, for those who have been through the system, does not discriminate against them, whether that's job opportunities, housing opportunities, or whether it's simply a community that doesn't stigmatize individuals with backgrounds, but rather welcomes them back to our community, supports them as friends, neighbors, family members. Flintridge Center is always excited to welcome individuals as supporters and volunteers. Some of the best ways to do that are simply to, especially if you don't have much knowledge or experience of the type of work we do, is just to come down the center and visit one of our programs, to visit our apprenticeship preparation program while it's going on, to see the lives that we're impacting and how the programs work, to come to a Youth of Promise Halloween event and see youth celebrating with their families. We also look for adults to serve as volunteer mentors for youth in our Youth of Promise program. It's a big commitment, but we are always excited to welcome volunteers in that capacity. As well, we just encourage folks to be curious about this work, to ask questions about the work, to have meetings with our staff, with our leadership, with our constituents, and build their knowledge and awareness of the criminal justice system itself, the criminal justice system as it exists in Pasadena, and what it could look like if the community kind of understands it and is vested on impacting those who or supporting those who've been impacted by the system. I encourage everybody to come visit me or us at the Flintridge Center. Our doors are always open. Our coffee is almost always on. Just love to have visitors and love to kind of continue conversations with folks from all walks of life and hear people's questions. So come check us out, come visit us. You can also visit our website, www.flintridge.org, or just pull up to our location. We're at 236 West Mountain Street.